Got it.
Another episode of Anime Haven, man. We back. Your favorite panel. I don't even need to say our names because y'all know us, man. Y'all know us. And as always, you see Taz. He likes to fade in the back. Fade in the back. Pull up like... Nah, let me start with that, though. We got a fire fight for y'all. We have Poseidon versus Taz. How you say his other name? Because I'm not about to get it wrong on the online.
Sasaki.
Now, I can tell y'all, everybody, that this fight is very epic, right? Number one, it predicts a lot that goes into what you're going to see in upcoming episodes. It also is a turning tide in this tournament for the fate of humanity. But without further ado, we're going to do this one a little bit different. I'm going to actually be asking the panel some questions to test to see if they can break down this episode the best way possible for all of you guys. And also, let's see who really liked this fight the most. Because I'm going to be honest, y'all. I didn't really like this fight that much. It was cool. I didn't really like this fight like that. This is my least favorite fight of the whole tournament. I'm just going to be honest. So, my first question is this. With the fight between both parties, out the gate, when you first got into the fight, and I'm talking about like halfway through it after you get the backstories from each character, who do you initially feel had the slighter edge? It was like, oh snap, they might actually win this.
Ooh, that was good. That's a good question. Honestly, the way that I'm seeing it is when I first started, when they was playing Poseidon's backstory and his about Adamus and his brother, at one point I was like, damn, Poseidon might win this, like the way that they're just making him seem so overpowered for absolutely no reason, like even to the fact where he could say something and it fucking became fat at that point. So I'm not gonna lie, for a second I like this fight a lot because, like I said, for a second I really thought, damn, the God's about to win again, here we go, some bullshit, and Sasaki comes through in the end.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna go the opposite way. When I was listening to Sasaki's backstory, the title of the backstory was "The Greatest Loser." That was the title of his backstory, "The Greatest Loser," which said to me, my man never won a fight before, so why did they pick him? Right? They're going through history. They're picking every available human that's ever lived, right? And the person that they pick is the greatest loser. Then they get into Sasaki's backstory. And his backstory, they're talking about all of the fights that he's lost. Not only all of the fights that he's lost, right? Because typically when he starts fighting, he'll surrender. And then he will fight that person until he wins in his mind. Not like physically fighting, like he's fighting this person in his mind till he wins. And until then, he don't go get another arch rival or nemesis or teacher or somebody to teach him something new. So that's why for me, when you ask that question, Taz, I went the other way with Sasaki, because I was like, this is the perfect setup for humanity to get their first dub, but by the person that they're calling the greatest loser. That was my pick.
I like that one.
I mean, that actually summed it up to say the least. Like, he was the most intelligent fighter that we had, if you really look at it, because he didn't have to, like, he would fight them the first time or the second time, third time, and then he would come to a point where it's like, you know what? I've mentally beaten you already, because even in the fight, like, you think, like, the first 2 minutes of the fight, right? Like, you think everything is actually going on, and then it just plot twists on you, and it's like, oh, this is how this dude does it. And it's like, I was like, okay, like, it's going to be like a mental thing. And it just completely went left on me. But I can't even stop. I did kind of forget about this fight, though. I can't even stop.
Look. To put it in perspective, right? You see how I had to walk around. I had to go find the lighter. I'm like, yo, this is how this fight had me at first. I'm literally showing y'all and demonstrating for all y'all folks. I'm not being rude. I wanted to show y'all and demonstrate how this fight first had me in that beginning segment. I'm like, yo, bro, I don't know what the hell is going on. They really about to have a whole anime about how we just get smoked. Like, yo, I'm not feeling this right now. Like, then look, by the time I sat down and sparked the blunt, I was like, oh shit, it's about to go left.
Yeah.
Okay, now it's getting lit. We about to win one? Now look, before we get into the whole aspect of us winning, because of course we won, and hints of tides have turned, right? With the next question, I would like to ask this is, when you look and you dive more into the fight, as the point where it turned to where it gets into the ending of his backstory of being the greatest loser, but they break down the whole, how should I put it? They break down the whole background of foresight, being able to see in the future. But what I ask y'all is, was his definition of foresight seeing into the future, or was it something totally different entirely?
That's a really, really good question. For the most part, it does have some ways to see into the future. Dope, Trippy, I'm a very, very big One Piece fan. So if you know about observation hockey, it's the same thing. He's basically a human, like his brain is a human simulator. And it's amazing to see.
I wish there was a fire button, dog. That's fire.
Yo, like that's literally.
There's no other legit way to say it, even down to the fact that Poseidon was launching, I'd say, from what they were saying, about 100 to 200, probably 1,000 attacks at one point, where he's moving so fast you can bet that even he said he can barely keep up with it. That at that critical point where he thinks, and this is one thing that I love about the mind, and if you know, if you keep going at it, it doesn't matter how bad it is, your mind will break and make something brand new to the point your body flows, and that's exactly what he did.
Yes. Not only was he able to put into those simulations or predict the movements that Poseidon was going to use, it got to a certain point where he even tapped into a portion where he was able to use the experience of those that he fought before him and put all of that together into one fighting style. He was using one of the masters' footwork. He was using one of the other masters' dual swording ability. He was using another one of the masters' breathing techniques. Like, he was putting it all together to make one ultimate, just massive master creation, bro. It was insane. And that's, to me, why that was one of my favorite episodes. But like, to see that he was able to put that together, and not only that, but to use it. So to answer your question, I didn't think it was foresight, just like what Taz said. I'm along with the simulation thing, but not only the simulations, was he able to do those simulations, store it, record it, and bring it back to his now so that he could use it.
That about to make insane. Me watch this fight, man. I don't remember.
Real quick.
I remember this fight being that dope, bro. For real. Like, the way I explained it got me going crazy.
I don't even remember that fight being that dope.
Real quick. One thing that Q said that I definitely want to build off. If you know, one of the best, personally, in my opinion, one of the best fighters in all of martial arts and all of history. What Bruce Lee did, basically Sasaki did. He took the styles, he merged them, and became a tidal wave so big, not even the god of the sea could handle it.
Good, bro. And slice that man up. This fight was so cold, bro.
Yo, he became the ultimate samurai through losing. Right?
Yes.
And that's losing. like I feel like this episode it kind of articulated more of a story, like a traditional like anime story, because the whole samurai concept, right? So they were able
Yeah.
to bring that into it, and then it kind of makes you like connect with it, and then after you can like you notice because they're in his corner, like everybody he ever faced, all his rivals or foes were cheering him on, like to keep
Cheering
going,
him on.
and like that's when he would use their styles, like the father and son. I'm slipping on the name right now, but like the son was like talking mad trash, and by the end of it, he was like, "No, you got to get up, you got to get up." So it's like I feel like the whole series, every episode gets a little bit better to where it keeps it intriguing and it keeps you like coming back
Yeah.
in. So it's like this fight
And
that nobody I heard say yet. Like Poseidon don't is like cold blooded for real, bro. Like
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
calculated
We
as
didn't even get to that
hell.
part yet. We didn't even get to
Calculated,
that
bro.
part yet. Yeah. Yeah.
Don't
I wanted
worry.
to just touch one thing when you were talking about the son.
Go ahead, go
What the
ahead.
son recognized in Sasaki was he noticed his father's fighting style. That's
mm-hmm.
what he pointed out first, was he noticed his father's fighting style. He was like, yo, that's you. That's
The
you. I
inspiration,
know
like,
that move. I've seen it. Like, that is you.
and
How
then
did he
he
get that?
understood. You understand at that point,
Yeah,
it's bigger than just being the best. It's like it's a respect.
absolutely.
It's like true warriors,
Absolutely.
bro. Because that's how he wanted to go out. He wanted to go out
Yeah,
like
like a true warrior.
just like Lubu. You get what I'm saying? It's like it's crazy,
Yes,
bro.
Mm.
sir.
It's
A
crazy.
true
Yeah.
Just to say one last thing, and then I'm gonna cut it off with that.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly think that this episode was so terribly named. I think it
Same.
What's
shouldn't
the
have
name of the
been
episode again?
the greatest loser.
Mm.
I don't think it should have been the greatest loser. I honestly think it should have been the greatest winner or something along the lines of that. Reason being is that in true combat and true honing your skills and leveling up and going through the ranks and all of that, you gotta take losses.
Take
You
L's.
gotta take losses. You
Facts.
gotta take blows. You gotta take the hits in order to even get to the next belt, get to the next rank or whatever it is. So honestly, he was never the greatest loser. He was like honestly the greatest winner because if he can mentally already know that he has beaten somebody
Yeah.
and even the enemy, because in the first in one of in the episode of his backstory, you even seen it when he came back. The master bowed
The
down to
Crazy.
master.
him.
I was just
Came
thinking about that. I'm over
crazy.
here bouncing about that part. Yeah.
The
The master
master
was like,
bowed
you've
down
beat
to
all
him.
of us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and was like,
It's like you did it.
you didn't care to like flaunt it in anybody's face or anything like that. You
What
just
about the
wanted to become
glory?
stronger.
Hmm.
And that's what I
Training
feel
with the
like this
natural
episode is.
elements.
Like they are forgetting about that. Like honestly, they should have. It's poorly worded, in my opinion.
Yo, Ray, they love this episode. I'm telling you.
Nah,
Bro.
yo, it's tight. It's tight, like conceptually, because he doesn't lose, bro. He quits,
No.
not quits. He stops on purpose because he
He stops
realized
on purpose.
he finds out that his possibilities are done, and if he goes any further, he's gonna lose and die, and he doesn't want
Yeah.
to die. You get what I'm saying? Only till he goes full circle, finishes everything, fights everybody he can, and then that's when he's like, "All right, I'm ready." And that's why I say it's like a weird, like it has like an old school anime flow to it, while
Yeah.
it's being new to it. So that's why it's like it was a weird episode for me, bro. Like even if you start talking about the
Yeah.
Valkyrie and how bipolar she was, or like
She was a bipolar. We didn't
she
even
was
get into all of
bipolar.
that.
We haven't even gotten into
We
that
didn't even
yet.
got to that part yet.
Like we haven't even gotten into that yet.
Here's the thing, right?
That was wild.
See, I told you this was a great ass question. I threw y'all off, had y'all open. But my thing is this, right? Did anybody peep how it was just a whole, I want to say 3 or 4 episodes about how good one's photographic memory can be, one's self-awareness
memory.
can be, muscle memory, and then also one thing I gotta add, and I'm gonna go into my next question. Taz, you kind of contradicted yourself the way you explained it. If you really want to get into it, in order to achieve your biggest greatness, everything you explained would be why that's the best title suited of the greatest loser. In order to be the best winner, you have to lose. That's the only way you learn. If he never
I can see
lost, how
that.
would he learn? You get what I'm saying? So that's why I said I
Okay.
like all of it because I'm starting to understand these
Okay.
couple of episodes were to play with your mind and get you to
Yes.
you're gonna go one way then go this way. It was to really see where you were thinking at. So I like this. I see. I start to amaze myself sometimes. I
Yeah.
have myself thinking like, I overstretched the question. But let's see. Let me see if I got a good one in the bag. All right. So we're talking about the Valkyrie, and we see how she was bipolar. But what's one thing that you notice just about Valkyries as a whole? Because I've noticed that in episode 1 and episode 2, we didn't really touch base on that. So, what is the difference between each Valkyrie, and why do you think each Valkyrie was chosen for each set of fighter that has been in the fight so far? So, you can basically just
Mm.
answer all of that in one.
Oh, that's a pretty good question. So one thing I've realized about each Valkyrie, watching through both season and really digesting the anime, they each have their own specific, distinct characteristic. Each and every one of them have their own specific characteristic. One is, not to spoil too much, one is ridiculously strong and big, and the other one is really dainty and small, but she's sly and
One of
she's
them is
able to
calculated.
manipulate. And exactly, one is calculated. The other one has a bipolar disorder, which also kind of goes into the question of these specific people, these specific Valkyries being for these specific people because of their specific type. Like, I don't know if I'm touching on it the right way, but basically, in the first episode with Lubu, you saw how nice she was. She was very calm. She was, you know, and she come out to be like this really calm and sleek weapon.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Now we got Sasaki. She's bipolar. His weapon broke. Technically, it didn't break because she has two personalities, so you can't
Mm-hmm.
break her. Like,
Crazy.
everything, like, I really think that the Valkyrie that's in charge of this, as she was she's very calculative, and she understood that each person would match up with this person, and this Valkyrie would match up with this person because their attributes match. Even as wild as it seemed, Lubu needed a calm weapon, a very sleek weapon, in order for him to do a specific thing. Sasaki needed the sword just in case. Because, let's talk about it, through actual wear and tear, your blade will break, and if your blade
Yeah.
breaks, then we all know the fight. As a samurai, your fight is over.
And they show you that I'm gonna let you go right back. They show you that in the Lobu fight because his weapon broke.
And once his weapon broke, it wasn't really, you know what I'm saying? It stood the same, so it didn't stay in that same category where basically, okay, you have an extra sword now because she has the separate personality.
I'm gonna say for me, because mine gonna be quick. I honestly did not pay attention to the characteristics of the Valkyrie until the next fight.
I
The
know.
next fight is what made me start paying attention to the Valkyrie because she was so perfectly placed together with my man Jack the Ripper. That's all I'm gonna say on that. But I didn't really pay attention, so I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back and pay attention to the Valkyrie in the other fights. But I did not. I ain't gonna lie. I did not pick up on that until this next fight, and I was just like, I see what y'all doing.
To be honest with you, I definitely can agree with you on that because it wasn't the Jack the Ripper fight that I was able to start seeing that. It's the sumo fight, and that's a foreshadow into the next episode.
Oof.
If you
Bomb.
remember,
Yeah.
Bomb.
that's when I started realizing it because, all right, the little girl, the girl that was placed with Jack, understood she's a little dainty, a little foreshadow. But it wasn't until that last one that it really was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the Valkyries be merging with like it's almost like Venom, like the symbiotes when they find a host type, like
That one.
Ooh.
that like
Yeah,
Ooh.
you in your bag for that one. Okay.
nah, because no, if you look at it, because you guys brought up the Jack the Ripper one, right? And
Yeah.
she wasn't messing with him, right? Like she was
Yeah.
away from him, and at the end, she's looking at him. Well, not to give anything away, but like she has a moment where she shows like a care for him, right? And
Yeah.
it makes you think it's like at that point they tie each other to like they're tied to the hip.
They tied.
You know what I mean? And it's like to answer the, I really don't have a good answer as to why or why they're chosen. You get what I'm saying? It's just almost as like fate has it, but
Mm.
each Valkyrie lines up with each like fighter, so it's weird, man. And it's like they all know that their role is to help humanity. Like that was the one thing I caught. Like none of the sisters were trying to say like, no, I'm not doing it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Outside of Jax, but that was more on some like sister little kid fight type shit. You get what I'm saying? So I just found it interesting. Like, yo, even there's always gonna be some hope for humanity because there's empathy for us because
Yeah.
not all of us are wild savages. You get what I'm saying? And I feel
Yeah.
like the story breaks that down. That like there's always hope in humanity. We just gotta find it within ourselves. It's crazy, bro. It be getting crazy out here.
It really is. But what if I were to tell y'all that y'all thinking about all of this in the Valkyrie the wrong way?
I believe it.
And I picked this up from the first episode. What if I were to tell you that if you really look at each Valkyrie and who they get set up with each fighter, they're everybody's counterpart. Ubu was rowdy. His Valkyrie was calm. And you get into the next fight.
Like a yin yang type of joint.
Yeah.
That's exactly what the Valkyrie's job was supposed to do. The yin to your yang, so that way we can take down this beast.
I've been saying that so much lately. Yin yang.
I'm like, yo, y'all never thought about that. Like, think about everybody's character. The only reason why I threw you off differently is because y'all think about that sumo fight. But honestly, that's still an opposite because that was the first time he's ever had that. So it threw him off. Never thought he could do something like that. Makes sense now? Opposite.
I'm gonna go back and watch it. I'm gonna figure out who right.
All it did was if you go all the way back to that and then you go back to the sumo fight, right? Like if you lead it back up and think about it with that perspective, all it did was the sumo fight tied it into opposites attract. Why you think when you get to that final fight of the season, don't you see how it switched off and now it wasn't an opposite no more? But still, no matter what, it was an opposite because what did the person have to do in the end in order to become that Valkyrie?
We're gonna get there.
You know what's crazy? Yeah. You know what's crazy about that? Like you can say it's like an anime or whatever, but like none of the warriors were shook, bro.
None.
Like you get what I'm saying? Like that
nobody was scared.
Like they were all willing to either fight or die, and it was like there was no try to like get out of it or run out of it. Like there was none of that, and I thought that was really interesting.
You know what's the one funny part that I did, Pete? Just to give it off a spill with the last couple of minutes we have, it's like just to touch base on what you're saying. It's crazy that it's not even the fact that they were scared, it's the fact that they pick top-notch names that were already stamped in humanity history. So all we did was like, okay, these are gods. I'm not about to put some alive people today in these fights, but I'm going to put some historical names that matter, that mean something, and we're going to shed a new light on these backstories, and we're going to really see who really fights for humanity, who got the more strong sense to it. Like it was fire that way. Like imagine if this anime was different and they put people that was alive today. It wouldn't hit as much. But when you bring
Nah,
certain
definitely
names
not.
back from history that now you as a person like, wait, hold on, who the hell is this? Excuse me. And you can actually go do research on who's this? You're like, oh my goodness, that's crazy. So honestly, I like the way it's giving us history on all types of platforms. True.
Yo, we
Yeah.
should do that. We should come up with like our own list of who we would pick.
Yeah.
Like five, like our top
5.
five that we would put in the fights.
Yeah, I'm down.
That shit would
Very
be
I
down.
great.
mean,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I would love to see in the comments who would have who would they pick. I'm not gonna lie. Like, who
And
would you pick?
like all spectrums, because I instantly, as soon as you said that, Trippy, I'm like Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali would get these boys work, dog. Like
Bro.
also instantly in my head, because I'm thinking of like of who would be real life like superheroes, right? Like great warriors and shit.
So, but not to cut you off, you know what's crazy? They kind of already did throw Muhammad Ali in there. Think about it. Adam float like a
Yeah.
butterfly, sting like
Butterfly
Sting like a
sting like
bee.
a bee.
Yeah,
so boom.
yeah.
What that mean?
Mm.
Muhammad
Cause
Ali looked at him like he was a god, right?
yeah.
Yep.
You see how tied the nigga
And
that
then
shit.
Damn.
Boom. And then you
bare
Shut
shut
that
knuckles,
down.
bare
up.
You shut
knuckles.
that
I'm
Yeah.
down.
girl with you. What's up? You
Yeah.
want this the cuff?
Yeah.
This the cuff. That's how
Bare
crazy.
knuckles.
Bro. You see how
Yeah.
crazy them analogies go? That's how deep.
Yeah.
That's how deep it is. Like
That's wild.
you could have got those people, but they gave you
But
these people for a reason. Think about what people that you know that could fall in the line of that. So now
yeah.
let's not think about our five in that aspect. Let's think about who, if they picked a lot of people, would be in those selections of these gods that actually would still give you the same type of fight.
Alive today.
Alive
Yeah,
today.
that's what we got to think about. So we already got. Well, we could pick one. We could. Well, if we want to replace Muhammad Ali, we just put Floyd Mayweather. We'll just put him. Boom. We'll put him for Adam.
That's
We'll
fine.
put him for Adam. So we already got one.
He said that's fine.
Y'all forgetting Tyson? I'm sorry.
I
was
would have.
gonna
That's
say
who I would have
Tyson,
went
but-
with. I would have went
I'm
with Tyson.
sorry, Tyson.
Tyson good for 30 seconds, bro. Anything after that, like,
You want to know why I say Floyd Mayweather over Tyson in this instant is for the way
Defense.
Adam was able to literally
He don't
he
get touched.
saw it and then mimicked it right behind it.
Yeah, he don't get
Mhm.
touched.
Okay.
I feel that.
Okay, I can see that.
And on top of that, he was weaving mad at them shits. After a while,
Yeah.
Tyson ain't weaving them shits, bro.
Yeah,
You gotta understand, Tyson swings with so much power. After a while, if you keep swinging with all this power, you're gonna get tired.
like
After.
all the way back, bro.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say, yo, I want to see a Mayweather versus Tyson fight, because me personally, I still feel like Tyson gonna win that fight. But we're not gonna get into all that right now. Okay, we're not doing that.
That's too much
I
politics.
see where it's going. I see where it's going. Don't do that in the comments, y'all. Don't do it. But if we could try to right now with the last 2 minutes, right? We got Floyd for whatchamacallit, for Adam. For our current fight right now, who would I have for him?
for Sasaki,
Yeah,
I would probably go with.
dude that plays IP man.
I was gonna say dude that played Ip Man.
Donnie,
Oh, dude
I
that
think his name
plays
is Donnie Yen. Donnie Yen.
Donnie Yen,
Bro,
boom. He goes.
send
to
him up there ASAP.
All right. So now we got who's the fight before? Who's the fight before that I'm missing? Because now
It's the first fight. It's Lobu.
It's who's Logan? That's the hard one.
Brock Lesnar.
That's OD. I said Brock Lesnar.
Nah, I'm crying, bro.
Oh man, son.
I don't
Think about it.
know
They're
who
going
I would
against
put
Thor.
for Lobu.
Thor?
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
No, Terminator status.
De Chopa.
Nah, great
I don't
gladiators,
know.
bro. Great fighters. Great fighters.
We're gonna get back into that one, y'all. We're gonna get back in
Yeah.
this episode. Make
Listen,
sure
just
y'all
comment what y'all think. Comment what y'all think
Yeah.
about that.
But it's been beautiful. Y'all been blessed. This was a great episode. We see y'all next week, man. Make sure y'all get into Anime Haven. We here to stay. BSN.
We out of here.
Uh-oh.